Welcome back to Recap It. Today we are going to recap a 2004 comedy movie titled A Dirty Shame. Sylvia runs a convenience store with her husband and mother-in-law, Suzanne. One day, Sylvia is hit on the head and transforms from an uptight prude to a sex addict. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to this channel. Now without wasting any further time, let's begin, shall we? Our story begins with Sylvia, a woman with a fiery temper who has a negative impact on her marriage to Vaughn. Caprice, her daughter who is under house arrest for disorderly behavior for nudity, receives breakfast from her mother in the morning. She clashes with them on a regular basis since she doesn't know how to be anything other than hostile. Her car, however, runs out of gas on the way to work. This, of course, generates traffic. As a result, a guy drives out of his lane, striking Sylvia with the equipment on the back of his truck, causing her to suffer a concussion. However, Ray, the truck driver, observes Sylvia's sexual repression from a mile away. So, in order to relieve her of her burden, he decides to take matters into his own hands. Ray turns out to be a sexual healer who can turn anyone into an addict. He invites her to his center and offers her his card before leaving. Sylvia begins to notice everyone's new sexual habits in public throughout the day. She even begins to observe obscene graffiti on the walls. Nonetheless, she begins to exhibit this conduct toward clients at the family store where she works. She eventually succumbs to lust and insists that Vaughn take her home so he may make love to her, which he gladly accepts. Sylvia's mother, Ethel, hosts a gathering in their business a few hours later to rid the community of all the sex addicts. Meanwhile, Sylvia and Vaughn visit Vaughn's mother at the nursing home. They find everyone dancing in a circle to a song when they arrive. Sylvia, on the other hand, is unable to dance normally since she is constantly turned on by the men surrounding her. As a result, she begins to dirty dance in front of everyone, frightening them away. Sylvia anxiously searches the neighborhood for something to wear later that night. She hails a cab to Ray's center as soon as she can. When she tries to start sex with the cab driver, she is thrown out of the car. She evidently decides to walk to her destination. Sylvia arrives at Ray's facility a short time later. She then discovers that they have a sex addicts group who are all into different kind of fetishes. Sylvia is surprised to find that concussion is what causes people to become hypersexual. Everyone in the room begins to get it on with Sylvia at Ray's request. Meanwhile, Vaughn is looking for his missing wife when he comes across Betty, his next-door neighbor, who opens the door fully clothed, right next to her husband. He's weirded out, so he walks away without hesitation. Sylvia, on the other hand, is riding the bus home and flashes the bus driver in the hopes of seducing him. She appears to be successful. Sylvia enters Caprice's room at home with a fresh attitude, which astounds her daughter. They had a heart-to-heart, and Sylvia learns that her daughter suffered a concussion when she was 11 years old. As a result, Sylvia decides to take Caprice to a pub to look for suitable males. Vaughn and Ethel, on the other hand, finally catch them sprinting down the street to the tavern. Vaughn discovers his daughter stripping at the pub, while Sylvia is having oral sex with a stranger. As a result of Ethel witnessing all of this, violence breaks out in the bar. Sylvia is then smacked in the head with a bottle, resulting in another concussion. So Sylvia finally breaks free from the hypersexual trance she's been trapped in. Sylvia recovers from her injuries a few days later while learning what she did the past several days. Despite Vagan and Ethel's attempts to educate her about her heinous crimes, Caprice had a different perspective, claiming that she ultimately supports her mother's sexual liberty. As a result, Sylvia tries to convince them that she is the promised group member who will find a new sex act. Ethel, on the other hand, isn't having it. Caprice, frustrated, tries to injure her mother in order to regain her freedom. However, she is the one who suffers a concussion when a section of the ceiling collapses on her. Following that, Vagan decides to take Sylvia and Caprice to a meeting for recovered sex addicts. Despite the fact that things are going well for them, Ray's crew sneaks into the conference to sabotage everyone's success. As a result of Ray's influence, all recovering sex addicts, including Sylvia, are reverted to their former selves. Caprice, on the other hand, is able to medicate Ray with antidepressants, causing his libido to plummet. After a few hours, Ethel rallies a rally in the store to stop Ray's gang from terrorizing the entire neighborhood. The medications, on the other hand, are hurting Ray's ability to recover sexually. His group, on the other hand, is able to treat him by giving him some nutrients. Meanwhile, Ethel's shop is packed with sex addicts from all over the world. She and her companions then try everything they can to evict them without resorting to violence. Sylvia, on the other hand, is frantically scouring the area for someone to sleep with. Finally, She comes across a vehicle accident and discovers a man suffering from his first concussion. Caprice suffers her second concussion a short time later, prompting her to revert to her old sexual practices. Ethel and Vagan, desperate, flee the store and into a maze of sexual deviance. They soon come across Ray Ray, who is yelling about his prophecy coming true while commanding a dozen people with a megaphone. Vagan suffers his first concussion as a result of human feces falling from a nearby airliner. Ethel is taken aback when she realizes that everyone around her is a sex addict. Meanwhile, Sylvia is overjoyed that her spouse has found sexual freedom. She then has visions of the new sex act and how to perform it, which involves pleasure headbutting Vagan. Everyone soon begins to follow in her footsteps. Even the plane that sent Vagan into a coma. Ray Ray, on the other hand, decides to help Ethel recover from her fall, which leads to her eventually succumbing to his sexual hypnosis. As a result, everyone in the city has sexual freedom, and Ray Ray has astral projection thanks to climaxing. And this is where the movie ends. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, until next time.